Welcome to Design to the Nines. I'm NataLee Callahan, and if this is the first time we're meeting, welcome to my channel. Today I've got 3 upcycled DIYs for you that I'm really excited about, and I've placed them all in my craft room here. But these DIYs you could use in any room in your house, so let's get started. For my first DIY, I went and I picked up a frame at Hobby Lobby. It was normally $79.99, but it was 90% off on their clearance aisle. That one may have been a little overpriced to begin with, but at $7.99, it made a lot more sense. And what we're gonna do here is we are going to convert it into a shelf. I had some leftover trim from my board and batten wall makeover, and I thought this would work out perfectly for our shadow box style shelf. So I took that and measured and cut to fit inside of the frame. I pre-cut all of the pieces that I need to fit inside, including 2 additional shelves. Then I start to build with the primed part facing in. While I do use an electric miter saw and am using a finish nailer, you could easily use a simple miter box and a hammer and nails to do this project. I start out by building the outside part of the box, nailing as I go. Because I am not going to be displaying anything heavy, these nails should be just fine. Once I have the outside of the box built, I add 2 more shelves in the center, making sure to evenly space them out. After finishing our box, we make sure that everything is lined up nicely, and then we attach our frame to the box with finish nails. Putting on a back is optional, but I think it looks a lot more finished this way. And I have some leftover bead board from my built-in shelf unit from a couple of weeks ago, so I decide to cut this down to size with a circular saw and attach it to the back. This is something that you could definitely have done at your local home improvement store if you do not have something to cut it with yourself. You also could use a thin sheet of plywood. I fill in all of the holes with putty. I let it dry. In this instance, I don't even need to sand it down. I just take a wet washcloth and wipe off the excess and allow that to fully dry before painting. My original plan was to paint it pink because I thought that that side of the room needed a little pop of pink. I decided against the pink. Sometimes that happens. I thought it would be really fun because we're putting it over on this wall to have a little pop of pink, but it just looked like a Pepto-Bismol mess, so I didn't like it. And that's okay, it was just paint. So I went outside and I thought I was gonna spray paint it out there, but it was just too windy. So in the end, we are going to paint it the same color as the shelves. We're gonna do it inside and it's gonna be great. So now we're going to put some D-ring hooks on our craft paint shelf, and then we're going to hang it. I like to tap them in a little bit first and then screw them in. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. This shelf could be used to store any kind of decorative items that you can think of, so that one is very versatile. Okay, so before we start my second DIY, I wanted to briefly tell you about Antique Candle Company. They're a candle company that I've mentioned on here before, and I just love their scents. They're so pungent and so wonderful, and they come in these beautiful antique looking jars. And this month they sent me lavender vanilla, and it smells so good. It is amazing. Now I'm gonna light this later, but the reason I have the shipping box out is because we are gonna use this for our next DIY. They ship their candles in these beautiful boxes that are super sturdy, and they open up really nicely like that. This box is so nice. I put pies in them at Thanksgiving time. They are just wonderful and sturdy. And I thought we could use them as storage in here, but I didn't want to leave it as just a plain shipping box. So I picked up some contact paper from the Dollar Tree, and they had this pattern and color that actually matches really nicely with the colors in here. It kind of coordinates with the wall color a little bit. And so all we're going to do for this is literally just cover it in some contact paper, and then we're going to create a label on them, and it's going to be great. Basically, their shipping box will take one plus just a little extra, so we're talking a little over $1 for some beautiful storage boxes. This would work with shoe boxes or whatever. I try to find some nice sturdy boxes and not ones that are kind of flimsy. So I'm going to start out by just removing the labels off the box and extra tape before we apply the contact paper.
This is a pretty no-brainer process. We are just basically trying to cover up all of the brown that shows on the outside of the box. I start out by trying to center this on the box and leaving a little bit of excess to wrap around the edge, and then I just peel it back and wrap the box in contact paper, making little cuts as needed, which was a little different due to the shape of this box. If you just had a regular shoe box, this process would even be easier than the one that I'm doing. But I really did like how sturdy this box was and the size of it, and it really wasn't that hard to do at all. Feel free to reinforce with a little tape or hot glue any areas that you deem need it. No harm in that. On the sides where it didn't quite cover up, I just decided to cut squares to cover the entire side sections, and that's where that little bit of extra from another roll comes into play. I decided to make labels for my boxes, and I used some chalkboard paper that I had, and I layered that onto some regular white cardstock. And unfortunately, I didn't film this process, but I did add some vinyl labels to the fronts. You could also very easily design something on Canva and just print it out on cardstock to label them if you do not have a Cricut machine.
I'm really happy with this. So this would have been just a box that got chucked into the recycle bin, but instead we have a beautiful piece of decor that's functioning and is used for storage. So I can see myself doing this with a lot of boxes, especially if they're very sturdy and you can open and close them easily. So if you have a shoe box lying around or a shipping box, or if you ordered Antique Candle Company candles, so this is a wonderful way to upcycle a box that you toss for about $1, so you can't beat that. Okay, so for my third DIY, I have been obsessing over these giant pink flowers that they have at Hobby Lobby forever. And of course I waited till they were on sale, but I had an idea that I thought that these would look really cute back here on the corners of my sign. Can you see? But obviously we can't keep the stem on them. So we're gonna cut off the stem, and then we're gonna take some of the, whoop, okay, try that again. These want to move everywhere. We're gonna cut off the bulk of the stem and just leave a little tiny bit here. Because I don't wanna permanently attach these to the frame, because I may wanna switch it out seasonally, or I may decide to change out my decor, I'm just gonna attach pipe cleaners to the back, and we're gonna just twist tie them onto the frame, and I think it will work out just fine.
Because the stem was so flippin' ginormous, I pulled out my tin snips and started cutting away at all the layers, but it was like a steel rod inside.
So this is a little bit of a bandit. So what you're gonna end up doing is folding it back and forth and back and forth until it finally pops apart. Like that. I'm gonna show it who's boss. That's gonna be kind of rough. If you want to wrap some tape around that to make it safe, then go right ahead. For me, I'm gonna be hanging it up and nobody's really gonna be handling it. And so I'm just gonna kind of leave it alone. So now we're gonna kind of fluff out this flower. I think that looks pretty nice. And then we're gonna take some of the leaves off of the stem and glue them on. We like a little greenery with it. Pull out our cordless SureBonder glue gun. I got a big size and this is the mini size, and I am totally obsessed with it. It's cordless. You just charge it and you pull it off as you need it. It is awesome. I'll put the link below because it's so cool. You'll love it. We're gonna just glue this on the back. Just put some hot glue, hold it into place. There we go. And then we'll put a couple more on strategically.
I also wrapped several pieces of pipe cleaner that matches the actual stem around and hot glue them into place so that we can attach them to the frame.
So I'm totally obsessed with my entire sign, to be honest with you. But I love these beautiful giant flowers. I didn't quite know what to do with a giant oversized flower, but I gave it a different purpose. I'm sure that that was not what it was meant for, but look how beautiful it looks here. You could find a place in your home to do this as well, and just bring like a sense of spring and summer into your life year round, and it is a lot of fun.
To find out more information about Antique Candle Company, I'll put a link in the description box below.
Well, I hope you found some inspiration in this episode today. If you haven't seen my craft room makeover yet, it's a really dramatic before and after. You can check out that episode right here. And until next time, to all my DIY Niners, bye.